Castle trees has no profit, no value, no value. They have no value. That is not true. Hi there. I am Wentworth B here, and as I said, they say Castle trees has no value, no benefits. I like to talk about Castle trees because hardly nobody is talking about the Castle trees, so they need a defender. I am their attorney, and I like to talk about the Castle trees and in all aspects. So now let me look at this. So for example, you see Castle trees needles on the bare ground, right? As you see, everything will be broken down. As it's broken down here, then it becomes into fine materials, as you can see here, fine. And what else is that? Topsoil. And so when that broke down, then that become fertilized, and you can see, once the buildings are ready, you see what? Weed will start growing. And that is the purpose for castle trees along coastal seashores or wherever they grow. Now, something else. When you look at the castle trees inland, from the sea, that's a different technique. Now, as I said again, castle trees creates their own fires. They don't need, like I said, just like how the Caribbean pine trees create fire, castle trees do fire too. Now castle trees, just like the Caribbean pine trees, by the sea, they don't light fires like that. Only in land, they will create fires. But here it is, in this area, as I pan over here, you can see here, this area, I'm enclosed this coastal seashore in the university yard, and they like to get me talk about the university. This is Andres. Well, the whole Bahamas is our university too, but you can see this tree here. See there? You see the pods on it, the needles on it. You can see, as I see if I get the camera a little closer, so you can see that them pieces, them pods right there, they're coming out. You see various ones coming up. And what happened is, these trees are called sea hibiscus. And what happened is, all this street here would have been, looking at it, all this would have been the sea. And before they put this road here, run through. Sometimes when hurricane come through, when I first came in Andres, I didn't understand it. And all of the rocks and everything was covered, all the rocks in the sea was covered over the road and everything. And I was wondering what the purpose is. But like I said, what happened is that we put roads and seawalls different places. The builders are still building it because all this area, this castle trees and everything, this would have been over to the sea. That they would have been there. But as you can see, as land continually to be built up, various trees and weeds start to grow. As you can see here again, you can see weeds, castle tree needles fall down, and you see weeds start to grow. Now you got different species of trees and different species of plants, no matter where you grow. You got plants are the main material, right? For it. So the castle trees plays an important part. So don't not try to kill the castle trees, because they play a very important part in the ecosystem. Yes, if they need to be cut down, to be cleared down or cut down trees, yes, they could be very dangerous hanging over somebody's home or environment like that. So, but what happens is, once you could cut them and trim them down and so forth, but do not necessarily destroy the whole tree because you feel like they have no value. Everything has a value. Everything has a purpose. Just like you have a purpose, I have a purpose, right? You got history, I got history. Everything got history, and everything is for purpose. So like I said, coming back here, as I look on the ground here, you can see the various different trees. You can see the Hawaiian sea grape here, as I call it, Hawaiian sea grape or the sea cabbage. I like to put my hand in so you can see what I'm pointing out, even though zooming in sometimes, working with the camera, sometimes it throws you off because this is only my cell phone that I'm working with. Yeah, so as you can see here, now this particular species of trees here, as I said, it's called a jumbe tree. A jumbe. See those pods up there? Those pods up there, they look like peach tree. Now I remember when I went to Cuba, these trees are going to be huge, wide tree, at least about 8 inches or so more trunk thick. And they normally use these to make their set of jewelry with, hand chains and so forth with the peas on the inside. I normally used to do the same thing too when I normally make jewelry at times. So, but like I said, the tree plays a very important part in the ecosystem here in the Bahamas. And additionally, they say back in the late 1900s, this is something new. I found out from one of the societies in Nassau that in the late 20s, when they didn't have no coffee, they used to use the beads or the seeds of the jumbe trees, them up there, the seeds them, and they would now grind them up or boil them, and the brown would come off, and they would make coffee. That was new to me, but I found it out. I did the research to find it out. So again, and then additionally, on the tree, this is our little pot. Like for example, this species of tree here. I'm moving to different location, talking about how the importance of the castor tree needles, but trees. Now this particular species of tree here, this species of tree here, this just like how the jumbe tree will do. This we call it jumbe because this has a strong root system. And this is called this tree here, and this here, this is another medicine tree. This is called let me see if I can remember it 1 minute. Yes, they call this locally, they call this the penicillin tree bush. Like they say, where they get the penicillin from, the tablet from. But this we normally eat the leaves of this same portion here. I just eat it. But we normally this is a disclaimer. This is not for you. Go to your doctors and get your doctor's advice. But I say for me, I normally will eat this pot, and the tree is very hard to come up. It's hard to come up. It's deep in the ground. And anytime you find trees that are deep in the ground, it got a lot of minerals in it. So that's another tree that's found growing here. As I said, come back to the jumbe trees, the leaves them, you find them, they would grow around, right? And you got, like I said, then you got next trees, you got some buttonwood trees you find growing around coastal areas. Buttonwood trees. Buttonwood trees is a family to the red mango trees. This here is the buttonwood trees. Yeah, they saw little round little seeds on it. They call it, the people say they don't know why they call them button because they ain't own, but people call them button at the time. I guess button was the hardest thing. So, and button was round. So again, this year you'll find these growing, and these grows here for purpose. Everything grows for purpose. Everything grows for purpose. This is a larger buttonwood tree, and they said when I was a part of the Boyding course class, when I did the Boyding course, and they talk about them, they said that normally when you see these trees growing, buttonwood trees growing, then land is established. Like you see, there's no more water. But then you find them close to the seashore too, but then they always be based on land. So again, this is very important. Now, back to my tree here. As I talked about him, this is called the sea hibiscus. This is also a salt tolerant tree. When they're young, they got these nice little, just like people, they got these nice little smooth little trunk and everything. But as they get older and being wetter, they get harder. Same thing casuarina trees. See that casuarina tree right in the middle there? That too have that nice smooth skin tone. But as they get older and wear and tear, they get old and hard. And you can see this here is the jumbe tree moving along here. All of the trees them here growing, as I said, all this would have been, like I said, I like to give a history of everything. I just like to leave you, not giving you understanding. Everything is for purpose, so they all here, like I said, people say casuarina trees nothing can grow around it, but if that was true, none of these trees would have been able to grow around it. So then that's done already a myth. That being, like I said, that being busted, that already sank, right? So it's important. So you got the cinnamon trees. I went to say the cinnamon. The cinnamon trees. What I call the cinnamon trees. The cinnamon tree is not here on this portion of, but normally you find them too growing along by casuarina trees. But then you don't see them in this portion. This here. But the cinnamon trees are neck little green seed trees, but you normally find them inland. Now something else I came across, when you're looking at in the wetlands here, where the casuarina trees are and everything, you see what? You see swamp. That water there, that's standing water. But you look at that got many benefits in there. Even though that might have a lot of mosquitoes too. but all of those weeds and trees will be broken down, and then what happens is all of them are being, as they die, they're also being bled out, and what happens is something else new. That will also cause the soil, the sand will be bleached and dyed, and it causes it to change color from the white, to become brown, to become soil. The same thing when after the trees are broken down, they too become what? Soil and fertilizer. There are so many things that you can learn here. And like I said, I'm giving you a lot of this information for free because YouTube do not pay me. I am not on the benefits of the monetizing benefits. I am not paid by YouTube. But I'm giving you knowledge. I give you a lot of history. And then what happens is, you have not shared my content. Like, subscribe, and share, man. That's where that, like I said, it makes me happy that I can also help you. So that the reason why I normally does this, so that you also could be able to, when them people stand up and they say certain things, you could put them in their place. You can show them the evidence. You can show them the evidence that, hey, you said no, you said nothing grows around the sea. You said chaos winter trees destroys, nothing grows around the chaos winter trees. And if that is true, then how come this is? Yeah, chaos winter tree needles on the ground, breaking down, and you got grass growing. And that's the salt water right in the backdrop. So if that was true, somebody ain't telling the truth, right? Well, you know, at Blueprint Land Creation, we give you truth. We come here and we give you truth. We don't give you speculations, right? Like I said, if we don't know, we say we don't know, right? Like I said, when I spoke about the sea hibiscus, where they came from, I know they was always here in the Bahamas, but I don't know exactly the location or who brought them in, who were the first one brought them in. But like I said, but they're here, but they love salt water, but they don't also grow everywhere. On certain coastal areas, you don't see them, you only see them. And then normally some areas, then you only see chaos winter trees and sea grape trees, like how this is right here. Like how I'm back to this location here. You got both growing side by side. Both grow side by side, you see here. This is a sea grape tree. It's a sea grape tree, and you see the sea grape tree here, and you see the chaos winter trees. They normally grow side by side. Before the chaos winter trees came here, the sea grape trees was here. Now, something else more I like to say. Every tree has like a little brother or a tree that was there before it. There's a particular species of trees that I found that once you see them growing, you know that no shadow of a doubt, chaos winter trees will grow there. I mean, it's in the Bahamas. I don't know if it is in Australia and other places, but there are trees them that you can tell. Once you see that, and I've done numerous research around. Once you see those trees growing there, chaos winter trees have to come. That's a must, right? Like for example, like how you normally see chaos winter trees, you finally find secret trees, you find coconut trees, you find the other trees here, which would be, you find these trees here, the wine lettuce, you find them, but they all has their purpose, right? But so it's important. Then there's the next species of trees that you'll find growing. I will come back to that. Pause and come back to that. Now you finally find these also salt tolerant. These wine here, they have a rubbery texture and they're salt tolerant. And they will find them growing along the seashore. Now what they for too? They just to hold certain things down, and when they die out, they too become fertilizer. Hold on the soil. So everything, as I said, plays their very important part in the ecosystem. Chaos winter trees. Oh, I see a nice little lizard here. Yeah, you can see him. He's up the tree. You saw him. Just so I can get a better view of it. I seen him. He's cooling out. Nice little green lizard. Now, something else as I'm looking at. I don't want to get poke in my eyes. Now you see this. There's something else here. This is this little moss here. So you can find it. See that little moss right there, right in that limb right there. I remember giving some people some research. They said that they normally do with these moss them there. They normally on the trees. I see them taking shots of this. They say they normally use this to do with cancer. I see them. I had some people here doing some research. It was different. It was in a different field from me, but they still wanted to know. But they wanted to know what I was doing, and so I was showing them, giving them a course, and they started taking the cameras and taking these shots. And I asked them before, and they called them a particular name, but they said they also study them for cancer. Again, don't listen to them people. Go get your doctor's advice. This is a disclaimer, right? I only saying that because as when I walk around, I like to say a lot of things. Now, something else when you see long and see short, you see a lot of people will show refuge around conch shells and different things. And all of them got a pipe of stay, they'll wash it here. They'll be broken down. They too will become, the builders will use them too to become building land. So as I move along, I saw something else. I just want to see something. See ya? Just wanted to see that. Yeah, a little block in there. And then what happens is, everything will be broken down. Everything will be broken down. So again, like, subscribe, and share. And then let me put myself in the shot for you to see again that I am real. Like, subscribe, and share. This is Wentworth Manson. Wentworth B Manson. Because you got plenty Wentworth Manson. But you only got one Wentworth B Manson. Some people ask, what the B is for? B is for better, B is for best, B is for brilliant. What you say? You gotta say that, right? Hear what they say? Some praise is no recommendation. Well, that's true too. But then, that's why I like for you to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time on the next podcast.